Hey, Greg. So why is customer success so important?
Well, look, it depends on how you define customer success. And as a philosopher wannabe, I always like to go back to core definitions. Customer success to me means that your customer is enthusiastic about your business. They are enthusiastic about being your customer. In other words, they're not just begrudgingly handing over their money or their attention or their time to you. They love your product. They love the experience that they have when using your product and when interacting with your company. So I look at it. I think I may have even gotten this language from you as a 360-degree view, meaning that I want to see how the customer is interacting. I want to get their feedback, both the feedback that they're willing and motivated to share, which gets into all kinds of social dynamics about some people will complain more than others, or some people will offer ideas more freely than others. That's through the lens of what they're willing to communicate. I also want to know what they're not communicating. I want to see how they're interacting with my software. I want to see whether or not their time to get something done inside of the platform or the user experience that I've offered them, is that an efficient amount of time, or is that not an efficient amount of time? If I get that information in, then I know where I can improve, and I'm also looking for areas of inspiration in the development of the next version of my product.
Very cool. So customer loyalty, right? That's the word. How do you build customer loyalty, and how do you ensure that the customer is loyal to you on your platform? Adoption, retention, all those things are tied into that. So yeah. I hear what you're saying about customer success.
Yeah, and I'm not a marketer. I don't use the proper language, but I do think about these things. And frankly, I've never liked the word loyalty, because to me, it has a connotation of people show loyalty when there is a point of stress. It's will you stay with me through that problem? Will you stand with me in that foxhole? I like that. I like the customer enthusiasm and the customer feeling, whether or not they are pleased and excited. I want to, in my dream scenario world, I would have an emotional or an emotive sensor on the customer, and it would be when they hear the name of my product, or they think about using it, or they think about their experience with it. Is it a positive emotion that they're experiencing? Is it a neutral emotion, or is it a negative emotion that they are right? That they're feeling at that time. So certainly, everyone talks about loyalty because they want to think about whether or not the customer is going to stick with them when it's time. When the old product is old and it's time for the new product, are they going to stick with them, or are they going to go look at other options? Are they only buying on price, or are they buying on feeling, emotion, usability, those kinds of things?
Okay.
So I got a question for you.
Shoot.
I think that this industry, and when I say this industry, I'm talking about the customer experience industry, the customer service industry. I think that it's just gone through a significant change with the implementation of chatbots. I have my own feeling about the purpose of chatbots and what they do. I'd like to hear from you, and I'm sure a lot of other people would as well, as to why Kuvo is different than simply implementing a chatbot.
Great question, right? I mean, me as a consumer myself, I'm not 100% sure if there is an empathy in response when I talk to a chatbot, right? I mean, I really do truly want to talk to a human so that my emotions are understood, right? When I say I'm paying for a certain service or a platform, I feel the need to be talking to someone who can understand me. However, we are in the era of convenience, automation, getting things done. Time is of the essence. So we do need fast responses. So what we are striving to do with Kuvo is still make the utilization of chatbots, but with empathy, right? Understanding that emotion, introducing that human element to the conversation, right? Meaning we understand the grievance, we understand you. So Kubo, we are using deep tech, especially in the generative AI solutions, and also backed up with some very strong algorithms with AML, that we are giving users guidance with precise information, but also leading with empathy. But there's a threshold, there's a balance, right? We don't try to overdo it. We try to take it to a point where we say, okay, we'll guide you to resolve a grievance or an issue or hear you. But if that is not getting resolved, ultimately we do take the escalation to include a human to be able to interact with it. So we strive to try, strike a balance between both the chatbot element and the human element. However, once we get to the human element, still the time is of the essence. That's why we use our powerful ML algorithms to make the CSMs be prepared with information to respond back to the consumer immediately. Cycle time should always be pretty quick.
I like that answer. I like the empathy answer. I feel like chatbots as a technology, I always look at things as a technologist. Chatbots as a technology are trading away the feeling of being heard for the more rapid response. It's a trade-off. If I'm, I know when I'm talking to a chatbot and I know, oh, I'm getting a quicker response than I normally would, but I also feel like I'm not being heard, and that's the trade-off. And so I think the idea that Kuvo can enter into that conversation and provide both, that's a huge win, and it drives that customer enthusiasm.
All right, Greg, question for you. Customer success, for a while there, when even during the .com explosion, and also the digital transformation explosion, customer success or customer service as a means to success was kind of deleted from the equation. Why do you think we need to bring it back up now? What is the need for it right now?
Yeah, this is a fascinating evolution to me. And I remember way back some of the first transactions I ever did with Amazon. I don't think there was a phone number or any way of contacting the company, and I was fascinated by that. Now, maybe I was wrong, and there was some way, somewhere, somehow buried somewhere to contact them. But I think there was an idea at the time that if we actually eliminated all problems that could ever potentially come up, that the customer experience would be better. In other words, we don't have to have a call center because there's no reason that anybody would ever have to call, because the experience is just so smooth and so fluid. And so I think the industry adopted that for a while. They adopted that idea that it was, and we would call it plug and play. We would call it,
right.
Yeah, we would take the ergonomics. We borrowed that term from the automotive industry. About how it felt to sit in your car, the ergonomics. Where was the button? Did you have to reach a little too far to hit it? We took that concept and applied it to the user experience inside of software platforms and applications. And we came up with the idea that, hey, we want to put out a service or a product out there that simply could never have any problems, so therefore there would never have to be a call center. And I think it's an interesting idea. But remember, it is starting from the perspective of the best possible customer experience. Those companies that went forward with that idea were actually trying to deliver a better customer experience in doing so. So they kind of deleted it from the equation. Well, the challenge you run into there is that you also don't get any of the positive feedback. You don't get any of the new ideas coming your way. You don't have your customers participating and offering inspiration in the next generation of your product or the next evolution of your service. And so almost all of those companies who went down that path, even if they still firmly believe that that their product or their service is purely plug and play, it is keep it simple, you know, and you really could never have a problem with it. They are still they still returned to the idea that the customer can provide feedback in a certain way, or offer them some kind of means to do so. And I think that I think it's absolutely necessary. You know, the finance department, all these companies loves the idea, of course, because then there's no, you know, there's no operating costs associated with you know, with a call center or any other means of providing feedback. But now that these new technologies exist where consumers can provide feedback, they can feel as though they have been heard. They might even get, you know, some kind of note back to them that says, hey, wow, that was actually a great contribution. That's being you know, fast tracked over to our, you know, our product development center, and considering how we can address that. You know, those types of technologies are offering a solution that isn't going to be so onerous on the you know, on the operating cost, but is still going to provide that channel for feedback, and in fact provide a better way to do that. Because let's face it, if you have, you know, if you have thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of customers out there, it's not easy to assess, collate, analyze, and glean information out of all the feedback.
That is great. So I'll add something about Kuvo here and how we're addressing some of this. We have a use case where this customer is getting you know, feedback, or consumers are reporting to them about issues through email, text, web forms, support calls. You know, so much so that I found out that they're even writing letters to these executives as escalations, right? How do you collate this information and make it unified into one platform? Because it's coming from different channels. It's coming from, you know, people going to Twitter, people going to Facebooks, all these social platforms. Social signals is what we call this, right? And leaving their comments out there. Now with Kuvo, we are listening to all these things. We have mechanisms to build pipelines to gather information from all these areas: social signals, emails, letters, phone calls, and put that into one organized place to build deep insights out of this. So, you know, picking back to your comments, customer service is way more essential now because consumers have choices, right? Especially in the media world, there are choices. And if you have a customer, it is gold. Treat them like they're gold, and then do whatever you can to retain them.
Well, you know, there's I don't want to jump the shark here, or put any information out that I'm not supposed to. But look, you know, the world of technology came out with chatbots based on you know, based on machine learning and artificial intelligence. Okay, great. So we've got a whole body of information out there that has looked at a whole bunch of historical problems, and we're going to point this this AI at it, and it's going to go through and it's going to come back with simple, understandable answers to common problems. You know, our first attempt at doing that, we called frequently asked questions, right? And now we have something that's 10 times better than that, and we can do that. The idea, what you're talking about, the idea that there's this massive ocean of feedback out there, and it's coming through in all different types, like you said, letters, emails, texts, chats, phone calls, all of this stuff that's out there. That's really organizing that, collating that, and gleaning something valuable out of that is not a task that's very well suited to individual humans. You know, we just can't absorb all that much information across millions of touch points and dozens of different formats for those touch points. You know, but you know, one might imagine that an artificial intelligence engine might be just the trick, or just the tool for finding the gold in those in that ocean of feedback.
Fantastic. I think we're out of questions. That's it.